Hi, everyone. This is Ali Hussein Kasim of Ali Talks Tech. Today, I'm privileged to be at Safaricom headquarters with my good friend and brother, George Njuguna, who is the Director, Digital and IT at Safaricom PLC. George, karibu sana.
Asante sana, Ali.
So today we are really going to be talking about engineering and Safaricom's journey and how the organization has evolved and built a home of engineering. George, but usually before we get started on the exciting stuff, always a bit of introduction. Who is George?
Who is George? It's a good question. Like I say, George is a son of Africa.
Okay.
It's a very good intro. And I'm quite passionate about technology. And I see my purpose as using technology to connect people and give them opportunities.
Okay.
But I think also I'm a family man. I'm very proud of that in all ways. And I think as a son of this great nation first, even before we talk about Africa.
Great, George. I think for me, looking at how Safaricom has grown over the years and starting to focus on engineering talent. A couple of weeks ago, I was at the Engineering Summit. I think this is the second year.
Yes.
That Safaricom has hosted that in the summit. For me, when I was on stage having conversations, but even as I walked in at the Sarit Exhibition Center, what shocked me is the amount of people that were in that meeting room. And I was like, wow, that was really something to behold. The other thing that for me was very important is to see the opportunities that the young generation is being given to present, to talk about what they are doing, and basically building this whole, what you guys call the home of talent. In fact, I was just looking at your latest investor deck at Safaricom. And what struck me in this particular deck was the emphasis on talent. Building a home of engineering, Safaricom engineering community, industry digital talent, and your CEO really talked about that. The other one is the youth platform. I think what you call Safaricom Hook. Would you like to expound on those two a little bit? A bit of history, where you are at today, and what the vision is for these two platforms.
Yeah, so quite exciting. Actually, Ali, about 2 weeks ago, we had our board strategy session.
Okay.
Just talking about going into 2030. And the first opening presentation was about the home of engineering talent.
Okay.
And they were quite excited to see where we're going. But we started talking about numbers. Now we're about 850 in my team. We started talking about growing this home of engineering talent.
Out of those 850, how many engineers?
They're all engineers, but
Okay.
over 600 of them are software engineers.
Okay.
And then now you take also our engineers on the network side. In total, probably at least we boast minimum 1,000 engineers, at least a sixth of our headcount in Safaricom, of our organization. But this came from, Safaricom's a young company, about 22, 23 years now. And we came
So a young adult, basically.
A young adult now.
Okay.
And started as a telco, and eventually with M-Pesa coming in, became I would say a fintech and telco. But then in this new transformation, we're talking about becoming a tech company. And one of the things that tech companies do is that they build things, and the people who build them are engineers. But also what tech companies have done successfully, and I would be in amazement when I would watch, I've probably watched every single launch that Steve Jobs did of a new iPhone or even the iPods.
Yes.
And the engineering stories would always lead. unlike telcos,
Mm.
where it would be connectivity and people talking.
Mm.
The launch is anything that's done by a tech company.
Okay.
Even the OpenAI recent summits, they talk about the engineering. And so we strongly believe that those who tell stories rule the world.
Okay.
And so with our organization, we got an opportunity to tell our stories.
So engineering on one side,
Yes.
storytelling becoming critical.
Because as
going
Africans,
forward.
and one of the things about Decode This, and it took us so long to get the theme, to get the entire setup and how it looked, Ali. So as much as we had the tech with the,
it was quite impressive,
with
I
the
must say.
with the little circuit boards, we had the African colors of, I would say, very much I love red and orange and green and black. And so we blended the African piece, and our opening act was the dance and kind of channeling some of Wakanda,
Yes.
which is a big future tech city, but also our African dances and shields and sisal. And so we are meshing our engineering story with Africa as well.
With the Africa story.
With the Africa story. Because, Africa, if you go back, and Ali, probably you're most familiar, to Timbuktu.
Yes.
And what was happening in Mali. That was the home of science and learning. And even Africa is the home of astronomy and navigation. And the ancient kingdoms of Africa were where people would come to study.
100%.
Unfortunately, 100%. A lot of these were taken to Europe, and that history was destroyed. And we tend to think that these things came from the West. So we're also channeling the spirits of innovation in Africa and helping the children of the soil to realize that they're not inferior. And so as Safaricom, we said we want 70% of our software in the next 3 years to be built within.
70%.
70%. And
where is it at now, if you don't mind my asking?
So now we are approaching about 40.
Okay.
And we've moved from channels. All our channels we build. We do not outsource our channels. Our first, I would say, little project was Safaricom app.
Yes.
It was being done by a company from India. There, no offense to them. But we were seeing the ratings on our app are not good. Change requests are expensive. And so...
And take time.
So I challenged the team about 3.5 years ago that, hey, let's take this on. We can build. And we built it, and now it's the highest rated app on both iOS and 4.6. And we are in control of the journey. Now we are doing something even much better, bringing the youth piece into it. And even our new platform that Hooks driving on, which is Base, is fully done here. And, Ali, there are so many times you tell me, George, I don't like this. Before, I had to probably talk to the suppliers.
I have been an equal opportunity offender there, sure.
But now I can quickly take your screenshot. And at times I connect people to you. And I'm like, tell this guy. And so within our squads, and we are in touch with Kenyans every day. We don't want when Kenyans are telling us, can you do this? We're having to go talk. So we take inspiration. We follow big global tech trends. We partner with almost every big tech company. But the one thing we tell them, even as we sign contracts, be it with the East or the West, there's a component in there of knowledge transfer.
That is
and co-creation.
Crucial. That is absolutely crucial. If we talk a little bit about the evolution of your apps, I think, George, you and I have had very candid conversations over the years. And I must say, I think you're probably on 4.0 now.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think the other thing for me that is crucial is the acceptance that there has got to be continuous improvement.
Yes.
Going forward, how do you see that evolution of your in-house tech talent and expanding that beyond the country? I mean, I have been following the interesting story about Safaricom Ethiopia. One thing first, despite the political uncertainty in Ethiopia, I mean, kudos to Safaricom, the fact that you've jumped in there and the numbers are starting to actually show. How much of that has that build that has happened in Ethiopia and continue to happen, how much of that has been from Safaricom HQ in Kenya, and how much have been from, if you don't mind my
No,
asking
I can share it.
that,
It's
yes,
actually
yes,
very emotional because,
yes,
Ethiopia started as a,
greenfield
discussions,
completely.
greenfield. We drew the initial architectures in my office at the corner. And what would it look like? And probably, I would think in my mind, at least probably 50 people who just sat on this floor are now working in Ethiopia.
Wow.
Probably about three at least who used to report to me directly. And so just in one area. But even if you look at the network, the consumer business,
the commercial
side, also coming from your HR. And so the talent, and at the time, we were saying we need to release the best. We shouldn't be the person who is kind of shaky. And so we gave our best to Ethiopia. And happy with what they've done. And I was double hatting a lot. Still, the last project I got involved was the M-Pesa launch, but the initial launch, a lot of work. We also got to test things that it's a greenfield. There's no legacy. What do we want to do? So we did like a converged network and IT infrastructure first time there. We have full biometric registration there. And so what we're doing is taking a lot of that capability, bringing it here. But I'm very happy also recently when they were looking at a touchpoint NPS, Net Promoter Score capability, they took the one we use here, which is one of our in-house built software. And so now we are beginning to collaborate. But even beyond that, if I look at M-Pesa Africa and where M-Pesa is going on the continent, it is also coming. Our former head of engineering, Elizabeth, is now working in UK in Vodafone.
I mean, even the MD,
yes, Sitoyo. Yes.
Is originally from Safaricom, Nairobi. Yeah.
And so Liz was a fantastic story. She, I'd say in many ways, we can call her the mother of Decode One. And soon after that, she went to work for Vodafone and is looking at an whole engineering team that serves the whole of Europe and also collaborates with Africa. And so now we are taking
the whole of Europe?
Yes, for Vodafone.
For Vodafone.
Yes.
Nice.
And so, she's also connecting us with what's happening there. She's tapping into what's happening here. But also I believe it opens doors for other young people who want to go. We've also gotten a lot of our tech talent, Ali, go to AWS, to Microsoft. When AWS recently launched their office here, I told the president 70% of these engineers.
I was actually shocked about that.
It's a fact.
I was shocked.
That office you walk in.
Yes,
they were just laughing.
It is Safaricom.
Yes,
that is.
And now I'm no longer complaining like when I don't know if I complained, but I took a lot of shots from you and others when I was losing my talent. But now I'm happy because instead of I say it's a story of turning lemons to lemonade. We came and just reviewed our culture, our compensation. We came from job grades to what we call a contribution model.
Yes.
And now giving a
Could
full
you
engineering
expound
track.
on the contribution model?
So the contribution model is very interesting because we broke the whole old job grade system for engineers. And we said, you can have a track of leadership. Like myself, I've taken that track. But we all start together and then we split somewhere. And you can take a craft track where you become a master and an expert. And pretty much at those levels, you're at peers with your director. And you can even go above because of what you're contributing to the business, your skill set. And sometimes we say it's the difference between ordering a meal on a menu and being the guy who writes the menu and a menu that's accepted. And so people understand they don't need to leave Safaricom to have an engineering career path. There is an engineering career path. And we benchmarked with big tech who take this direction. And I saw the attrition rate go from above 20% to below 5%. And right now, then we expanded Italy also by creating the Industry Digital Talent Program, where we brought all those partners, even the ones who are headhunting, and we said, can we train talent? And so we go to universities, then we connect them into internships. Then at Decode, we launched the portal.
Yes.
Where all of us can go there.
I have looked at it.
For UI, UX, look for this. And recently, I was with one of the owners of Computech. He told me, George, I need 10 engineers. I said, we have an industry digital talent program. please go onto the portal. You can get it. And it's something we want not just, we have a few embassies on it as well. We want them to also connect both training opportunities, internships, as well as job opportunities, even outside Africa. I'm very happy to also say the PS of ICT has asked for the platform. We have given it to them as both open source and white label. And they want to use it for the whole of Kenya. Engineer Tanui.
Yes.
When he saw it, he says, I love this. Can we get it? And the team that built it is here. And it's a Naisenya Mungai did it. And I just asked Naisenya and she said, yes, we want this tool to be for anyone can take it anywhere. It's about connecting opportunities for Africans. So we can't sell it. So we're packaging it. It's going to go. Anybody wants it, they can use it. But we want to have the biggest tech talent ecosystem in the continent. And so I'm very excited about that. And some of them, Ali write me stories from Dublin. And they're like, you know what, George, I would not be here if it was not for you.
So, George, those tough conversations over drinks a couple of years back at the beach in Mombasa have started bearing fruit.
Oh, they've borne a lot of fruit.
I am so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
You know, I think sometimes, George, and I must give this to you, sometimes we fear having tough conversations.
Yes, yes.
But those tough conversations are the ones that then get our creative juices going.
Yes, yes.
And I'm glad to see that we are starting to reverse the so-called tech wars conversations to tech building conversations.
Yes, yes.
How is the future looking like? You know, I heard you telling me we've moved from being a telco to a fintech. Now we are evolving to a technology company. You know, the story of Safaricom is super interesting for me. And I have talked a lot about this. So this is not new, but just to recap, you know, what is interesting and what this story must be told in detail, how a telco evolved to become the center of financial services in this country. I mean, the story of mobile money can never be told worldwide without M-Pesa being at the center of this conversation. But it's not just P2P, peer-to-peer transactions. It's become literally almost, or even the operating system for financial services. I would dare say today, no bank, not just in Kenya, but across Africa, will actually say they have a digital strategy or a mobile bank strategy without mobile money embedded in that strategy and in that conversation.
True.
And I do not think that would have happened without the trailblazing conversation and the trailblazing execution that M-Pesa brought to the table.
Absolutely. You know, Ali, you speak numbers. The M-Pesa operations core is just run above this floor.
Up here.
Just up here. And we do 80 million transactions a day. That's more than PayPal does globally.
80 million transactions
a day. We move $1 billion.
That's more than PayPal?
Moves globally.
Wow.
In a day. $1 billion moves through that platform every day.
You know, I had a very interesting statistic a couple of years ago from a World Bank study that said that 1 in every 10 human beings that uses mobile money regularly is a Kenyan.
I don't doubt it. I think it's going to increase, Ali, because, you know, you won't believe this. On Saturday night, we did an upgrade on M-Pesa to 3,500 transactions per second. No downtime.
Wow.
You don't even know. I don't know if we'll announce it, but we're preparing for the holiday seasons. And, you know, it's interesting. Kenyans are very, 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 I don't know if it's shopping for clothes or they shop for food, but the highest M-Pesa transaction day annually is usually Christmas Eve.
Of course.
But I think this time it's falling on a Sunday. So it's likely going to be Friday, Saturday. But usually the Friday, Saturday before Christmas, the systems go. And so usually we have to do a lot of massive holiday prep. Most of the times I work. Even this year, I usually work on Christmas Eve. Partly because I understand there's other people sacrificing.
I would say your core teams will probably be working over the holidays.
And so if they're there, I don't want to be having sipping some something on a beach somewhere. So we'll sacrifice, and then maybe January we take our break. But Ali, the fact of the matter, when you look at, we've had the opportunity in the last 1 year to go to the Asian giants, and they were looking to learn from us. We went to learn. But then one of the most interesting things, and I'll just go a bit into fintech, that we do on M-Pesa is real-time settlement. And that's why, if you ask me, my favorite way of even sending money between banks is through M-Pesa.
But everybody
because it's real time.
It's not just you. Everybody does that.
School fees or what?
Everybody
I
does
just say, child, this thing, first I used to do bankers checks. I don't even know that whole thing of queuing. Now, as long as I know the pay bill number of that bank in your account, you'll have that money instantly. And it's faster than any other, be it Swift, be it clearing, be it PesaLink. M-Pesa is instant.
A couple of years back, I called you. I told you, why isn't this app giving me... All I need to do is type the name of a bank, and it should give me the pay bill. I shouldn't worry about what the number of the pay bill is. Today, that's happening seamlessly
just select
on the app.
And I used to memorize them, 247, I don't know what, 600. Right now, you don't need 222. Right now, just select. And another interesting thing, Ali, we are redoing as much as Safaricom app. We are also taking over M-Pesa app fully. And so by next year, March, what you will now see on M-Pesa app is going to be fantastic. But the point I was making, Ali, is that M-Pesa is so critical to this economy. But then we said, when I joined Safaricom, we used to have upgrades taking 10 hours. Now we are doing them. In maximum time is 3 minutes, even if it's a big hardware upgrade. It's 3 minutes. Yeah, moving to cloud, microservices architecture. Just saying, if Visa are doing this, if the best in the world are doing this, why can't we do it? And then doing it with our local engineers. And then the teams realize you're actually part of something big, not just in Kenya, but globally. And last time, when we set the record of 3 minutes on a large upgrade, the team were like, wow. And I said, guys, we need to go under a minute. And some of the upgrades, like this last one, just entirely no downtime. And they realize they can actually even step up to be CTOs of fintechs globally.
Absolutely.
Because of what they've been able to do. But now we're saying we built a great telecommunications company. We've built a great fintech. We can also build a great technology company. That when you think about great tech companies, you're not just thinking about the US, UK, India. India challenges me the most. The number of CEOs in big tech that are Indian says it starts at home. It starts in India. And I think if Kenyans are going to lead big tech, we have to start having big tech companies in this country.
One of the things that India has done well is on the education side. I was having a conversation with one of the senior government officials a couple of days ago in Mombasa at the East Park conference, and I challenged all of us, and I said, India has this ecosystem of IITs, Indian Institute of Technologies, across, and it is the best of the best Indians who qualify to get into those institutions. And if you look at those CEOs and senior people in global companies, not just the US, across the world, that are Indian, you can almost literally trace their
100%.
origins to
Yes.
the IITs.
Yes, not MIT, to IITs.
IITs.
Yes,
IITs.
you're very right.
Yes.
And but there's this belief that we can do it, and they'll take and learn. Whether you've come set up a BPO with them, they're learning. And so one of the exciting things as part of our Safaricom engineering community is our Build by Safaricom, which is our university program. And our same engineers, many of them young.
Talk to me about that university program.
So many of them below 25, but it doesn't matter. And now, so what we decided to do, we have 10 what we call chapters in our engineering community.
Okay.
So like, you'll have your data science AI, you'll have your cybersecurity, your UI UX, your front-end devs, cloud, all 10. Each of them adopt a university. DevOps. So like DevOps is setting up a center of excellence with USIU.
Nice.
Data science with KCA University. IoT and robotics, Dedan Kimathi. And there's something also at Maseno and others. What we do there at in Makueni, we have a TVET, that water that we're working with.
Those TVETs are very crucial.
Yes.
I think this country is starting to realize and appreciate the whole TVET ecosystem.
Yes.
It doesn't need to just be universities.
Yes.
A lot of the technical stuff will actually come from TVETs.
It has to. And so what we then do, because of the engagements we have with global tech and materials, we don't just avail it to our engineers. We avail it to those ones.
Nice.
And then also we've partnered with Moringa as well as
Moringa School.
Moringa School as well as
I
Strathmore.
like that conversation because that's not in your formal education ecosystem.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the nice thing, we go there, and I'm so happy with what I'm hearing. I've had a lot of pressure. We're going to Meru University soon. We are talking about, can this curriculum be a reflection of what we see as the future of technology, not just in Kenya, but globally? Because I was finding when I was looking for talent, and this is a fact, especially when I was looking at data science, AI, and some of the senior cloud architects, I was having to go outside of Kenya. So we said, and that's why when somebody new is setting up the same thing, they come and take mine because they're scarce. So we started saying, how do we build these skills from that level?
How do you move from scarcity to abundance?
To abundance. And I think you remember at that time in Mombasa, I said, can we bake a bigger cake instead of fighting over a small cake?
Remember.
And so that's what we did. So we are finding them willing to change their curriculums, willing to invest in connecting the students to the programs we are telling them that this is what we need. Then we connect them to internships both within us as well as internships within the larger ecosystem. There's a lot of work we're doing for government, like not just Hustler Fund and Fertilizer, but a lot of the big government programs are going to ride on Safaricom. So that means I'm probably bringing in over 100 new engineers, as well as engaging with startups and other tech companies locally to be able to work on these programs. So abundance of talent is something we need. So, but we have to go to universities, create them. Then our teams are volunteering. They're not paid to do this. They go and they hold immersion weeks once a quarter. And they
in these universities,
in the universities
and TVETs,
in the TVETs, and sometimes we even spend a whole week there. It's been amazing, Ali, and I'm gonna say especially outside Nairobi.
What's the anatomy of these immersion weeks?
So essentially, we'll say this institution, we want to do DevOps, and so the DevOps team will take lead, but we'll still go with a number of the other chapters just to have a broad introduction. But we realized we need to go deep and connect. See, where is the university? In this area, Safaricom will go deep with you. Another tech company may come here, but we will then know we have a center of excellence that's now moving eventually to do research. What we're talking with Dedan Kimathi is, can we make IoT and robotics devices that we need for our smart meters as part of IoT or telematics?
Yes.
You've had them talking about with the CS of transport talking about putting our telematic speed governors into all buses and all.
Public service vehicles.
Yes, and especially for schools with everything that's happened. Can those be made in Kenya? So we realize we are the ones who can connect some global manufacturing to a local university.
Yeah.
They have an R&D center. Before long, they're producing. We are buying. And it doesn't just help the university, it helps that community. So it's really getting that whole Silicon Savannah, or you want to look at what's happening around New England, Boston, the MIT area. So it's getting those type of setups within our country. But outside Nairobi, Ali, is where you feel so much desire, passion. And those are my most interesting. Nothing against Nairobi. I studied here, but I'm getting a sense, especially when we go outside, even if it's a public university and the TVETs, you just see the rooms are packed beyond, and people will keep us there till nighttime.
Wow.
They are not even, there's
People
once
are hungry for
we
knowledge.
went to Wote, the school had closed. We didn't know. They came back. Wote is in Makueni. It's in Makueni. Wote, they left, they came from home, own initiative of the students, to come to Wote. Then we found other people who heard about it, who lived as far as Thika, who going to other institutions, showed up. They said, okay, I don't school at Wote, but we heard you are holding this here. Can we do it? And out of there's 3 of those people who won one of our competitions, who are joining us as interns. But I think those stories, Ali, you don't know where these people, young people will become, Ali. They'll be the next.
100%. And I think for me, that imagine of a leader like Safaricom to go into universities, to spend time, official time, shows the importance and the commitment of the organization to start turning around this talent conversation. I think it's very, very crucial. Something I need to ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, the talent that you guys are helping to build, for them to reach, for lack of another way to put it, big tech ready, where are we at? I mean, already I can say that the fact that AWS has hired 70% of their Nairobi office from here tells a story. It tells an interesting story. How do these engineers and other professionals get to that level of saying we are now global talent?
So the fact is, I was so excited this week. I think there's an AWS re-engage, and I saw some people actually paid for themselves to go.
Wow.
And they're going there to learn. I can promise you they're going there to see what do the best in the world do. How are we going to, so reinvent is happening. And I just saw one of our engineers who's grown exponentially said, I have to go for this. This is so important. And
paid for himself.
Yes. Because we had very few slots. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to go. This is so critical too. And I'm just seeing, you see, Ali, the storytelling is important, because one is, do we believe in ourselves? Do we believe that we have the DNA, the history of innovation in this great continent? And so that's why Decode was important in terms of, and constantly when I'm talking to my team, I'm a student of history, and I always connect them
you and I both.
On great civilizations and what they do, and be it Macedonia or I'll go as far Persia, no matter where it is, Mongolia, and I'll just always, it starts with people, and people believe they can do better. And so I believe that belief system is starting to come in. And when I talk to especially our PS and ICT engineer Tanui, and then you talk to these dons in universities, and then the young people, we held something just for kids, teaching kids how to code between the age of 6 and 11 in Makadara. And those kids from Jericho blew me. They blew my mind. Jericho. They got into, which I later found out that PLO and Barack Muluka was so excited when I told him this story. He says, George, that's where I grew up. And Ali, we only had about 3 hours of teaching them coding. They were starting to code. But what struck me is they were starting to make games that resonate with the inner city.
What was the
Kenya.
average age of those kids?
The average age was about 8 years old.
Oh.
Some of them had never touched a computer in their life. So they were beginning just to learn that. In 2-3 hours, these kids are making games. And I realized, Ali, you're not going to buy, I don't know, unless it has changed, but some of the games we played, like Bano and Shake and Kati, and all those games that we played as kids, they're not available. And those are part of our history.
That's true.
But here we're playing all sorts of other games, be it kids, Mortal Kombat, FIFA, everything. But even if it's FIFA, where are our local teams? Where can I play Gor Mahia and AFC Leopards? And so for me, I'm saying it will only happen if we also understand that our sociology as well as our culture is all linked with this technology.
100%.
And our storytelling comes through.
We're always going back to this storytelling.
Yes. Because we are losing it, Ali.
Yeah, we are.
Because what happens, be it fashion, you're playing a video game built by people. China is very big at this area, or the West.
Yeah.
So even our fashion trends, we want to look like that.
True.
But if somebody starts seeing people that just look like them, they start to believe. And that's why the storytelling, even for me, Ali, and I'm happy with what you're doing on Ali Tech Talks. It's about people hearing and seeing people who look like them. We must tell
our own stories.
People who look like them, who went to these government schools, or even no matter what school, but people from here, and showing the great things they're doing. And not, I feel embarrassed when some documentary playing in New York is what's telling about what someone's doing in a great solar solution.
Yes,
and water solution.
Or American being called the African expert.
Oh, you're wondering. And our guys are over there using little bottle tops and fans and cups to do things. But also what's been great is our CEO has supported us. He came to water. He's going around himself. He's seeing it, that we need to get this talent because our company's future is dependent. But now it's reaching a place, it's not just our company's future, our country's future is dependent on it. And you think about Ali, the main pathway for development in Kenya is between Mombasa and Malaba. The entire economy of this country runs there. But now the new highway is the phone.
Completely.
Who is owning those highways? Are they being owned by big tech, or when local. You open that smartphone, how many Kenyan apps are top? And so I've challenged my team to we want to build a local Kenyan OS and also a chat. And I hope Ali is going to be one of our proponents, equal opportunity offender, telling us where we are wrong, but believing that we can build, because now we are locally assembling smartphones. We are looking at how we can also begin to mine some of the components. But I'm now coming in more on the software side. Can the software on those devices?
And that's going to be very critical, because I think sometimes we do forget that a smartphone is not just about the hardware. It's about the ecosystem that we built within it. And we are moving beyond platforms.
Yes.
To actually start operating and organizing ourselves around ecosystems. It's not just paying to pay to play, but it's about also the access to play.
Yes.
It's about, are we resonating with each other?
Yes.
It's about, if I come in there, I am creating something. What's the economic value for the ecosystem?
Yes.
It's not just about the platforms. I honestly think your current platforms, the Googles, the Facebooks, the Microsofts of this world, if they don't evolve into ecosystems, they will be as dead as dodos in the next 5 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what are we doing as Africa? Are we just consuming all these things? Then they are riding on us as the telco?
That's the $1 billion question.
That's the $1 billion question. And the money is on the people who have evolved into full platform ecosystems. They are making money. There's, be it in advertisements, be it on leveraging data.
Yes.
And so wondering, our entire continent, with our big young people population, how much are we consuming? I'm very happy with a lot of what I see, and I challenge us. I see with West Africa, specifically Nigeria, the guys are. You go to Ali, you travel, you pop up in Dubai, you go to US, to Italy, you are hearing Nigerian music is what people are dancing to.
No, don't even go far.
Yeah.
The majority of African music today,
Yes,
in this country,
yes,
is Nigerian.
Yes. Yes.
The Nigerian tech executives and tech founders are setting up in Nairobi.
Yes.
So the question that
true.
we as Kenyans also need to start asking ourselves, why are we not in Nigeria?
Yes. We have to ask that question.
We have to. Why are we not in Nigeria? Look, I mean, as I said, you and I, we can have this conversation until the crows come home. But, you've given me an opportunity to also to talk to at least two of your engineers.
Yes.
And I would like to find time and have that conversation with them today. A day in the life, of an engineer in Safaricom.
Yeah.
Because Safaricom is one of our champions. And we must continue to tell this story, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And also give the young, upcoming engineers and executives an opportunity to tell their story.
Yes.
Yeah. So, George, thank you so much for this time today. Thank you for hosting us. We are, myself and my team, pretty humbled. Ali Talks Tech started about a year ago.
Nice.
And we have continued to tell the story, and we will continue to tell the story with the partnerships of guys like yourselves and organizations like Safaricom.
Yeah.
George, asante sana, but I will have to release you now so that I can have this conversation with your team.
Yeah, so Ali, thank you so much. Thank you for Ali Tech and what you do. Thank you for how you challenge us. I know sometimes we do have it, but I know it's brotherly love.
Absolutely.
And it's meant to push us higher. And we are only where we are, especially for those of us employed in an organization for a definite period of time.
Yes.
Those challenges help us to move the dial.
Correct.
So that by the time we move, we've elevated not just our company, but our country and continent.
Absolutely.
So keep doing that.
Asante sana.
Asante.
Cheers, George.
Cheers.
All right.
Okay.
Great. We are at SOC, which is the Service Operations Center at Safaricom. So I'm going to be talking to the team that operates here.
Yeah.
So what is SOC? Maybe a quick introduction, yourself, and then we kick off.
Yeah.
You are?
My name is George Njuguna. Yeah, so I run service reliability engineering that works closely as well with our SOC team.
Okay.
SOC is Service Operations Center. So what we do here is we ensure that we're able to monitor service touch points.
Okay.
So for across all the services we offer at Safaricom, we're able to see the kind of experience that we are giving customers.
What is the importance of this data here and these SOC operations?
Yeah, so this is important because, and for example, the one that is on the screen here is my Safaricom app.
Okay.
We're able to see how many transactions we're doing per second.
Okay.
We're able to see what we
in
call
real time.
Real time.
Okay.
That's a graph there that shows. This graph here shows the number of transactions per second.
Okay.
What we call microservice.
Okay.
So essentially, if a microservice breaks down, we are also able to see a drop in the traffic real time. The success rate also in terms of maybe in IT we have those errors that can happen because of one reason or the other, some breakages.
Yes.
We are also able to fix that in a proactive manner and address it before it becomes a customer pain point. So essentially this is important because this is part of the driving force behind Safaricom giving quality services to our customers, because we can be able to proactively pick the experience, the quality issues.
So this whole area this whole screen is just my Safaricom app.
Yeah. That speaks to my Safaricom app.
Okay.
Down here, we are speaking to Subrate. Subrate is
Subrate.
subscriber registration.
Okay.
We register our subscribers to our network.
Yes.
So when you go to a Safaricom shop and you're given a number,
Yes. A new number.
So we're able to
So it's
take
picked
your
up from here.
details. Yeah, we're able to validate your details, your ID details, all that. So there is a platform that works behind the scene to ensure that we're able to capture that. That's what you're saying.
Failure rate
0.00.
0.00%. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think part of this is in line with our mission as
Sorry.
customers.
Quick introductions first.
I'm Yvonne Derito.
Yes.
I lead the digital engineering team.
So
where
you
we
are
build-
head of engineering for digital.
Yes.
Yeah.
So where
Brilliant.
we build some of the digital solutions,
Okay.
our apps, web portals.
Okay.
And part of our pillars being customer obsessed is
Mm.
experience.
Okay.
So that's what will keep you using our solutions. And so proactively being able to monitor is one of the key pillars that we pick.
Okay.
And also what we've gone ahead is auto remediation. So once we pick any of the alarms or any of the degradation in
Yes.
service,
Yes.
we actually implemented some automations where we're able to auto remediate the issue. So even before the customer gets that impact, we've already resolved the issue. And what we'll come and do is post-mortem just to understand what was the issue and then rectify that.
Okay.
So also understanding the trends, being able to know if our success rate is below 95%, we know there's definitely an issue and we can
So
actually
below 95% is
below
a red flag.
97%.
Is a red flag.
Yes. So our target is normally 99.999%.
So basically here is where we get to know whether people are ground is not.
It's
Yes.
fine.
Thank you so much for the
Welcome.
time. I really appreciate this.
Welcome,
Asanteni sana.
Karibu sana.
Great.